everything rises and falls on leadership. That is a quote from the greatest of all time in terms of leadership, John C. Maxwell. All right. He's got like 88 books or something like that. I've read, I don't know, probably like 20 of them at least. So that's where I get a lot of my leadership ideas from, concepts, things like that. And I compare that, the information that I get from John, and I compare that with either current leadership or previous leadership, to reflect and things of that nature. And then also obviously to do better as well, in whatever leadership capacity that I may have. I want to be the best leader that I can be. So that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. Okay. Now, one thing I do want to go through today with you guys a little bit more structured is actually a PDF that I have for you. So what I am going to do is, all right. So the title of the article is Why People, Businesses, Organizations, and Relationships Rise and Fall. Okay. Well, it's really more so fall. I don't know why I titled it Rise and Fall, but your boy was just out here freestyling the writing. Okay. Obviously the credit goes to me because I wrote it. Now this is the exact PDF, so you guys are gonna get this, and that's why this shit is in here. Not that you really need it, but if you click this, this will take you to the actual article. Okay, that was published at that time. Okay, so here we'll get into it. And now my face is covering up some of it, but that's all right. I'll still read it to you. So it starts off by saying the rise is great, is exciting, positive emotions are flowing, and life is good. You might even think everything's good. What could go wrong? Okay, this is kind of like euphoria, if you will. And I think a lot of us have been there in our trading too, if you've ever been on like a win streak. Okay, but if you've ever grown a business and it grows exponentially or really well, then you probably have been there before. But what goes up usually comes down too. So, but then comes the fall, the pain, agony, stress, and anxiety. The questions like what went wrong and what happened is what we ask ourselves. And so what we'll do is let's start with some basic facts. What do businesses, organizations, and relationships all have in common is that they involve people. Okay, and I even bolded it for you. All right. They involve people, and for the most, more than one. They involve human interactions. The problem rooted in humans is that we are, by nature, severely flawed. We are born this way. So, the ultimate cause of success or failure in these ventures comes down to people. The ones who matter. Let me read that again. The ones who matter that most don't realize, which is everyone. Okay, every person matters. If you can't understand this, then you're likely to eventually run into serious problems. I mean, look around. Look over the last couple of years. I mean, some of you have been my students for years. Okay, some of you a little bit less. That's all right. But I've been teaching for like over 4 years now. Probably closer to 5 actually. But either way, you guys met me somehow. All right, whether it was through a company or through YouTube or whatever. And we're going to get into some pretty heavy details here in just a second too, but it's kind of a brief introduction. Okay. But at the end of the day, every person matters. And if you can't understand that, you're done. Okay. It's not going to last forever. So first we need to look at who runs the company or the organization. Are they a good person? And I'm not referring to what they pretend to be on social media. I'm referring to who they actually are, who they really are. You would be surprised, man. Most people don't actually know the CEO that they work for or the boss, manager that they work for, owner, whoever, that they don't actually know them. Okay, there's actually a lot of people I never met in person or never even spoke to. Seriously, I was in business with people I never even spoke to before. Never said hello. Not a phone call or anything. So how can you know somebody if you've never spoken to them? Right? So it's hard to know who they really are. Okay. And look, I don't know why. I mean, I freestyled this whole article, just so you know. So it might be the flow might be a little bit off, but either way, It says humans can be ruthless, disgusting, filthy, disturbing beings, but we can also be loving, nurturing, kind, forgiving, and generous. We can choose to kill or protect. We can choose to hate or to love. We can choose to destroy or create. Okay. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of person am I? What kind of people do I follow? Again, not who you or they pretend to be. Who are you really on the inside and outside? Compare your words with your actions. Here's a huge hint into the reality. Actions speak louder than words. So for the sake of the video, we're going to continue on. But if you really want a exercise, I would highly suggest for you to do this. Is to reflect, what kind of person are you? What kind of person am I? And I do this from time to time as well, personal reflection, journaling, stuff like that. And so trust me, like I realize I'm a person who is impatient. I am a person who cusses a lot. And, sometimes I really just don't have a filter. I mean, I can meet somebody like yesterday. I went to the store and I had bought, I don't know if you can see it behind me. I have some page protectors and I walked up to the self-checkout and I was scanning them. And then I went to pay for it and they didn't ring up at the price they were on the sticker or whatever. And I go to the lady and I'm like, hey, these aren't the same price. And I was like, oh, wait. I was like, oh, shit, I didn't hit the checkout button yet. Right. And it's like I just automatically, curse in front of people. Like, that's not good. That's not a good thing. OK. And I know that because I have done a little bit of self-reflection. So you got to understand who you really are. OK. And what you actually do, right? I think, oh, I'm a good person, but and then I think about it, I'm like, well, damn, John, like you're cussing in front of children, like, come on, But anyway, we'll continue. We often let our egos and emotions dictate our actions. This only leads to destruction. Unless we stop to think, control our actions, and choose them wisely. We cannot control other people or their actions, but we can control ourselves. Who does that sound like? Who does that sound like to you, chat? Good old Epictetus, right? Yes, dichotomy of control. People may give you any excuse in the world as to why they acted like they do or act like they did. None of those excuses hold up when you realize they were in control the entire time. So why do people leave? They leave because of people. Think about this. Chat, think about this for a second. Let's pause here. Why did you leave? A job, an organization, a relationship? Why did you leave? Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's X, Y, and Z. But from my personal experience, I've had 20 jobs by the time I was 20. Okay. A lot of it's because of the people. Remember Bobby, that manager I told you about, and all her shenanigans, right? It's because of people. People stay or leave because of people, of leadership. Again, title of the stream, title of this video, everything rises and falls on leadership. Most of the time, they were either selfish and wanted something better elsewhere, or they were driven away by the very organization or person they were in a relationship with. Yikes. All right. So check this out. If you know anything about what's going on, or anything rather in the last 2 to 3 years, okay, look at this. Corrupt people do not last. Corrupt organizations do not last. I have seen organizations do really well, and then everything crashed. Everything crumbled. Went to zero. Like a shitcoin. Okay? I've seen it over and over again. I mean, shit. That's why I put out this article, dude. That's why I wrote this. All right? To hopefully prevent, things from happening again, even though we're seeing it still happen over and over. But either way, people who are habitually corrupt in their actions usually ruin relationships too. The worst of people sabotage the relationship, but also make it seem like it's the other person's fault. Yikes. Yes, narcissistic people like this exist and are everywhere. I mean, dude, I've been in conversations with leaders. Okay, I'm not going to name names, but and no one like in my direct contact, but I've met people that were in leadership positions, and this was especially in the military too. And it's like they just avoided any and all responsibility. Like everything wasn't their fault. It was somehow like my fault or someone else's fault. They took no responsibility. And they make it seem like they're the victim. Oh, well, I'm overworked. I've got all this stuff on my plate. I'm dealing with all these problems and all this and that. Dude, come on. Like, if you're going to be in a leadership position, you got to take responsibility. You have to. Yeah, you can't make it seem like it's the other person's fault. At least not in every situation. Okay? So, how to increase your chances of a successful endeavor? The answer is simple and easier said than done, but start here. So if you're, again, I'll release this PDF, but if you want to take notes, you can start here. So choose to be great, choose success. Don't take shortcuts, treat people with kindness, read books about personal development and leadership, pay attention, take quality notes, and review those notes often. Create habits that will benefit you, your business, and your relationships. I don't know if I've shown you guys this. It's right over there. I've got a binder, okay? And that binder that's why I bought page protectors, because I'll get a binder, I'll put the page protectors in there, and then when I read a book, I'll take notes. When I'm done with it, I'll print those off and then put that into the binder, okay? So it's not, I'm not just telling you this because I think you should do it. I actually do this. Okay. Another quote from John Maxwell. He says, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So I don't just know this shit, but I do it as well. Okay. And now I'm showing you at least what I do. Okay. Moving on. Your success chances elevate when you can do these things consistently. In life, we change just like the seasons. The question isn't when we change, because we change every day. The question is, which way are you changing? Which way is your significant other changing? Which way is your leaders which way are your leaders changing? Okay. It's either up or down. There is no such thing as staying the same. I forgot where I got that from. I think there was a podcast I was watching one time, and he was saying that it might have been Ryan Holiday or someone else, but they basically said you don't stay stagnant, because if you're not learning or growing, you're falling like behind type thing. So I think that's probably why I put this in here, where you don't really stay the same. You're either progressing or regressing. I think that probably sounds better. So you're either progressing or regressing. Okay. If you guys got some value so far, drop a 2. Drop a 2. I know I might be going a little bit fast, but I really want to get this stuff out here because people need to know, man. People need to know. People need to know. Thanks, Andreas, Jesse, Planet, Naruto, Willow, Cameron. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right. Moving on. Problems will arise when you grow and your partner does not, or your leaders do not. Or maybe you grow, but I just said that. This is very similar to what I call the proximity success gap, more of which you'll read about in my next book. I know. I keep saying that all the time. I've been saying that for like 2 years now. Basically, if one of you grows and the other stays the same, you are creating a gap that starts small, but over time gets significantly larger. You are growing apart from each other. Then you don't start seeing eye to eye. More arguments and disagreements are likely. This leads to a higher chance of failure in that relationship or business. You have to grow together, or you must grow together. Look, I think relationships, this is like a big thing. Okay. Now, obviously, I can't speak too much on relationships because y'all know that I'm not married or anything like that. But I've at least been an observer my whole life. So I've seen like other people's relationships, like this shit kind of happens. Okay. Where you have one person that is growing and elevating, and that creates this gap between those two people. Now, it's not the fault of the person who's growing. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But if the other person doesn't, like, that's where the issue arises. And again, it creates that separation over a long period of time. Not like in a couple of days or weeks, but we're talking months or even years. Okay? I mean, it's just like with weight loss or weight gain. I mean, shit, dude. I've seen, some people from my high school that, I mean, good grief, they gain a lot of weight. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just like we are our habits, right? And so you can have a piece of cake like one time, or you can get pizza, once or twice a week, not a big deal. But it's when you do the same things over and over and over again, 6 months, a year, 3 to 5 years from now, that's when those results really speak. And so it's the same thing with personal development and within organizations too. So, I mean, you could have one person ranking up and their best friend is not, and again, it creates separation. Well, shit, we've seen that. Again, I ain't gonna name names, but we've seen that where certain people will share an account, or they'll share, a position of some sort. And that almost always goes south at some point in time. I've seen it, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it. If you've been paying any attention the last couple of years, you've seen it too. Okay, especially in the MLM industry. All right, check this out. Another reason relationships are difficult is because people tend to get comfortable. The comfortability is what leads to stagnation. Again, moving down because staying the same does not exist. Challenge this theory. Do so by considering this. Consider the following. And you can ask yourself this if you want to as well. I'm trying to put it on one screen here. Have my friends and I grew apart over the years? Yes or no? Have people walked out of my life on their own? Yes or no? Are people around me showing signs of jealousy about my success? Ooh, that's a big one. That's pretty much where I got the idea from, the proximity to success gap. And funny enough, Robert Greene actually talks about this in 48 Laws of Power, which I didn't know until I was reading one of the chapters. Give me 2 seconds here. Because I read this and I was like, oh my God, this is very close to what I was saying. If you have a copy of the 48 Laws of Power, if you go to law number 46 on page 402, it's the very last paragraph on the bottom. It goes, only a minority can, I'll start over. At the bottom, it says, only a minority can succeed at the game of life, and that minority inevitably arouses the envy of those around them. Once success happens your way, however, the people to fear the most are those in your own circle, the friends and acquaintances you have left behind. Feelings of inferiority gnaw at them. The thought of your success only heightens their feelings of stagnation. I read that and I was like, dude, literally that is the proximity to success gap. I just put obviously a really fancy name on it because that's what it is. It's the gap of success in the proximity of, your friends, your family, whoever. And so, I didn't try to razzle dazzle the name, but it's to call it for what it is. Okay. Does someone with little to no success criticize me? I get this shit all the time. All the time. Shit don't even bother me no more. Not to the degree that it used to. Are people close to me becoming distant? Now think about why they've done or are doing these things. Why are they doing that? Why would your friends or your family or your coworkers, whoever, why would they be distant? Why would they be jealous of your success? If we're friends, shouldn't you be happy for me? Think about that. If I'm your friend, If you're my friend, shouldn't you be celebrating with me? Why would you be envious? Why would you be jealous? That something's not right with that. So hey, there's something to think about, Andreas. You know, I'm not sure what the emoji is a reaction to, but you know, it's got to be said. This shit has got to be said, man. It's got to be said. This information needs to be out here. People need to be aware of all this stuff. Because, I mean, look, I don't see too many people talking about this stuff. Maybe they are, and maybe I just miss it. Like, I don't know who it is, if they are. But out of all the speakers I've seen, they don't talk about none of this shit. People want to see you do better until you're doing better than them, says Willow. I agree. I agree. That's true. Maybe his inner child or their ego get triggered because they don't have that themselves. Yeah, that's probably part of it. Planet. Naruto says, "'Tis the way of the beast." Robert Greene stated, "This is just human nature." Yeah, I have the laws of human nature, but that's a brick of a book too. And I'm pushing through it, but man, you know, you turn the page, you see a wall of text, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's a good book though. It definitely draws you in. It definitely draws you in. But yeah, it's very long. It was on the Law of 46. I think I need to. Oh, you think you need to buy that book now? Yeah, 48 Laws of Power is good. 48 Laws. Let me tell you something real quick before we continue. I'll probably edit this out. The 48 Laws of Power, I think, is a really good book, not only for the information, but because of how it's written. You can, at least for me, you can bounce around from chapter to chapter. Like, I did not read 48 Laws of Power all the way through from start to finish. I've jumped around. I went from Law 3 to Law 25 to Law 47, back to Law 12. Like, I skipped around, and I just kind of wanted to know about like something specific, you know, versus going start to finish. And what I want to do is I want to read the last one today too. I think it's about assumed formlessness, which sounds really cool. Naruto says the Law of Human Nature was the last book I purchased. Nice. 40 Laws is the top 10 of all time for Willow. Used in a productive and positive way. It's genius advice. It can also be a dangerous book if used in a negative way. Oh yeah, it's the most banned book in the US. It's banned in like every prison and all that stuff. But I agree with Robert and with Ryan Holiday. You know, their take on it is why would you look at it negative when you can use it like defensively? Which I think is great. Robert's not saying, hey, use this and then go be an asshole. I mean, you could take it that way, but it's more like, hey, these are how people, you know, chase power and obtain it. And if you want to play defense against that, you can. So I think 48 Laws is one of the most, I guess, misinterpreted or misunderstood books. What are you going to do? Yeah, Andreas, you get enough of those books, you can build a house with it. Yeah, I agree, Willow. But let's continue. People sabotage themselves. People sabotage businesses and organizations. You can actually read about this a little bit more in Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. People also, they would rather be in the CEO or boss or the one with power or whatever reason. I think I meant to say for whatever reason. Sorry, spelling mistake. You know I got to have him in here. You know I got to have him. Never appear too perfect. That's in 48 Laws. All right, so we practice what we preach around here. They would rather lose you or the business if they can't get their way, even risking their reputation. As mentioned earlier, humans can be disgusting. How can one avoid this? Surround yourself with people who have integrity, who are honest, who are transparent, and who treat people nicely and with respect. So, look, man, I've seen that. I've seen just, bro, people would rather become a failure because they would choose that over being like someone else's number 2 or number 3 or number 5 or whatever. I see a lot of this, and this is kind of a separate conversation, but I was having this conversation. I've had this exact conversation I've had like 10 times the last couple years with various people. Everybody can't be number 1. Okay? I want you to understand that. Everybody cannot be number 1. Hey, I'm the CEO of XYZ. Here's my partner, CEO of XYZ. Oh yeah, and then here's our number 1 employee, CEO. Like, bro, come on. You can't be number 1 of everything you go to. You just can't. Okay? Oftentimes, believe it or not, oftentimes you can actually do better as someone else's number 2 or number 3 or even number 10 or 20 or even number 100. Okay, than you would as your own CEO. And that's where, I think myself and those type of people diverge in understanding. Okay, there's a lot of things that I would be very bad at. Okay, and I understand that. So I think, could I run my own YouTube channel? Probably. I mean, we're doing that now. Could I step into the position of CEO of Nike? Probably not. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be a good CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Okay. So it's just understanding those types of things and then positioning yourself in the best position possible. But you got to have humility in order to do that. But anyway, if you want to skip all that, just surround yourself with better people. Okay. And this is another reason why people leave. We talked about this earlier, right? People leave because of people, or people stay because of people. And if you surround yourself with people like this, who they want to be the face of every flyer, they want to be the primary speaker at every event, they want to take all the credit, not give anyone else credit, shit like that. You don't want to be around those people. Okay. This is who you want to surround yourself with. Honesty, transparency, integrity, and, people who are actually decent human beings. Okay. Surround yourself with people who don't do shady things, who provides what is best for the team or relationship and prioritizes. I should have highlighted this. Read this part again, chat. Who provides what is best for the team or relationship and prioritizes others above themselves. Selflessness, right? Not selfish, selfless. They prioritize others above themselves. People over profit, my friends. People over profit. That's why it's on my Instagram. That's why it's pinned on my profile. It's pinned there. Still there. I haven't moved it. Okay. And that's why I shared, I keep chopping his name up and I want to say it correctly. Cedric. CEDDI_BBM on Instagram. And I said, I love to see it. And I pointed to the people over profits part in his bio. Because that's, that's what I agree with. And that's why I shared that. So I did. This is why I'm making today's video, because I had a lot of questions on that too. They're like, what does this mean? What's going on? I don't know half the shit of what's going on, man. But I know that everything rises and falls on leadership. That's what I do know. Katarina needs some of those people. We'll get some. Why do you think we are smart money stoics? Why do you think? It's not just trading. It's trading and personal development. We are an organization that hopefully does both. Okay, because your personal development is going to help your trading. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's continue. Who communicate and share common goals. The hardest part is that you have to be this person too. As for defensive ideas, recognize toxic people and do your best to minimize their damage. Remove them from your life or business as soon as possible, preferably with little to no drama. The less messy, the better. Now, the MLM industry is quite known for being very rambunctious and very flamboyant and loud. Okay. I tried to not be that way. I couldn't help it, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. But either way, just remove them from your business. Oh, matter of fact, I found this out about an hour ago. I didn't even see this until after I planned out this stream, until after I said what I said on my story this morning. I didn't even know until about an hour ago, maybe about 2 hours ago, that Trade House Australia just left. And now they're doing their own thing. And they were part of, you know, that whole thing way longer than I was. I mean, probably twice as long as I was. And they just left, or at least they just announced that they left. You know? So it's like, it's not just Germany. I mean, it's everywhere. It's yeah, Andreas. I mean, yeah, I have him on Facebook. Jenna and SJ, right? Great people, great people. And you know, so they decided to leave as well. I'm not surprised. I mean, I saw that coming. And I have nothing negative to say. I mean, I think it's a good move. If anything, they have my respect in that, in that regard. So, but I'm not surprised at all. This is the last slide, guys. Here are some simple equations. John Maxwell puts this kind of stuff in his books too, and I like that. It's kind of where I got this idea from as well. Bad people plus more bad people is the greatest chance of failure. Bad people, but some good people, that's just going to create a frustrating and toxic environment, which is not optimized for the best chance of success. And the last one, the greatest one, the best person that you can be plus other good people, and then you take away the bad people, that's going to be your greatest chance for success. The greatest chance for success. Okay? So at the end of the day, everything rises and falls on leadership. You got to treat people with kindness. And by focusing on leadership, by focusing on relationships, by focusing on connecting with people, that's actually what's going to take your business further anyway. If you really wanted to make more money in your business, you wouldn't focus on making more money. You would make more money by focusing on relationships. It is an actual fact. It is a statistical, it's a fact proven by data. I talked about that in my, I forgot the name. When I talked about retention versus acquisition. You spend all this time, energy, and money on acquisition, and you don't focus on retention. Dude, I promise you, you will make more money by focusing on retention. How do you focus on retention? Relationships. I've had students that have been with me for years, and as soon as I left, they say, "Where are you going, John? I'm with you no matter where you go." Right? That's connection. That's impact. That's relationships, dude. And I know maybe not everybody, but I know some of you that you probably would think, "Oh, I never want this membership to go to get canceled. I always want to have access. I always want to have access." Right? Because we've built a relationship here over a long period of time. Right? What do you think that's going to do from a business standpoint? Let's talk about transparency for a second. What does that do from a business standpoint if you never leave. More profits, bro, in the long run, because the retention is high. You fucking, bro, I'm telling you, business would be so much better, so much easier if you focused on relationships. I'm telling you. I'm trying to tell you. Dale Carnegie is a game changer. Well, I would agree. I have that. It's right there. It's not the newer one, though. It's one of the older titles. It's the blue one. I still don't know why people are leaving. What do you mean, Marwin? I mean, I'm just speaking generally here. Each individual is going to have their own reason, because, you know, one person might say money, one person might say I'm too busy, or this might not be for me, or whatever. But I'm speaking generally here. Okay. I'm not talking about like 4 or 5 people. I'm talking about like thousands. Okay. Like thousands in general. All right. Or hundreds. That's what I'm saying. Not everybody wants to be a part of this membership. I told you I had that one dude that was here for like a week and said, man, fuck this. Okay. Don't be here then. You know what I mean? Like no one's going to be 100%. I'm still above 90%, but no one's going to be 100%. But generally, I'm going to focus on relationships. So anyway, with that being said, make sure to like the video and subscribe. I would appreciate that. Make sure to like it if you got some value. I know a lot of you here already did that. But if you're not a subscriber, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well. And let me know what you think in the comments.